The pawn shop smelled of cedar polish and dust, a mixture that made the past feel tangible. Sunlight barely reached inside, slipping through a grimy window to rest on the worn wood of the counter. On the table lay a leather-bound ledger, its surface cracked and soft with age. The shop owner, a man in his mid-40s with a lined face, plain clothes, and a patience honed by decades of handling other people's memories, picked it up instinctively. His fingers hesitated over the cover before flipping it open. The pages were dense, each line written in neat, deliberate handwriting. Names, dates, amounts, bribes, favors, obligations. The owner's eyes widened as he scanned the entries, each one revealing a network so precise it was almost clinical. Someone had kept careful track of debts owed, favors exchanged, lines of influence that stretched like invisible threads across the city. This wasn't petty crime. It was a ledger of power. He leaned back, letting the weight of the discovery settle. One page might have been a simple transaction, but the collection, the ledger, was dangerous. It could topple careers, ruin reputations, even reshape the city's balance of power. And now, in his hands, it was real. The fraud had begun in increments so small they could have been dismissed as mistakes. A forged signature, hey? A transfer of a few $100s there, a bungled cash pickup at a convenience store. The moves were amateurish in execution, yet deliberate in intent. A slow dance designed to test boundaries and timing. Detectives followed the trail methodically. They traced digital footprints, scanned surveillance footage, and checked the timing of each transfer. The breakthrough came in the unlikeliest place, a convenience store CCTV camera. Among the shelves of snacks and slushy machines, a man in a hood lingered too long by the register. Late 30s, wiry frame, a nervous smile that didn't quite meet his eyes, and a cheap wedding band on his left hand. The face was familiar in the precinct within hours, already circulating among officers. The man was arrested that evening, protests tumbling from his lips, but the officers barely listened. The city had been waiting for a culprit, anyone, even a small-time con, to blame. The arrested man, character B, didn't have much to offer in defense. His movements were jittery, his gaze darting between desks and offices. There was no bravado, no clever escape plan left. He was the first domino, and the ledger was already in motion behind him. The courthouse steps were flooded with morning light, reporters pressing close, microphones thrust forward like eager hands. Cameras clicked incessantly, capturing the arrest in slow-motion permanence. The city exhaled collectively, relief visible in the eyes of pedestrians and office workers alike. Justice, they thought, had been served. But the ledger told a different story. A page was missing, ripped or perhaps removed with purpose. Character B insisted he didn't know where his partner was, his voice wavering but firm. Questions went unanswered, whispers circled the steps, and the reporters sensed there was more than a simple fraud at play. Character C, the partner, had vanished. Early 40s, composed, nondescript, scar on left eyebrow, the kind of man who blended into crowds until he wanted to be seen. The city buzzed with rumors. Who was he? Where had he gone? And why had one man been left behind? The ledger, incomplete, promised that the answers would not be simple. Image prompt, courthouse steps with reporters and microphones. Character C, partner on run early 40s, composed, nondescript, scar on left eyebrow. Victims began to come forward, cautiously at first, clutching bills, receipts, anything that could corroborate the ledger's entries. A broken system revealed itself in fragments. Developers who had paid bribes to expedite construction permits, contractors who owed favors to city officials, a web of obligations so intricate it made the hair on the back of your neck stand up. A journalist, following the trail with methodical patience, connected the dots. Names traced to a local development project that had been lauded for community investment, Yet behind the glossy brochures lay a ledger of quiet corruption. While the city's attention fixated on character B's arrest, character C moved invisibly. New accounts appeared, false identities were issued, and a train ticket was purchased under a name that wasn't his own. Every move erased his trail, every connection dissolved into digital noise. The ledger, or at least the parts of it still existing, became a living map, tracing power in its purest, most dangerous form. The surviving partner's disappearance wasn't just evasion, it was a statement. The city had underestimated how far the ledger could reach. In a dimly lit study lined with dusty case files, a retired cop sifted through the past. For decades, he had watched minor criminals slip through loopholes, small frauds vanish without consequence. But now, comparing his old files to the ledger's entries, patterns emerged. Petty thefts, small-scale corruption, incidents that had been quietly closed, all connected, all pointing to a single system of influence. The tendrils reached further than anyone had imagined. Municipal contracts, city hall operations, public works approvals. It wasn't just small-time crime, it was institutional. Shadows moved with cautious precision, and whispers, once ignored, now carried weight. A hush fell over the corridors of power. Officials glanced over shoulders. Secrets once safely buried were now exposed to possibility. Image prompt: City Hall corridor, shadowed silhouette leaving an office. The interrogation room was stark, a single lamp swinging gently above the table. Character B sat with hands curled into fists, the fluorescent light catching the lines of worry etched into his face. Pressure mounted, patience wore thin, but he had nothing left to lose. Then, almost casually, he began to speak. The ledger wasn't merely a record of money, it catalogued influence, favors owed, obligations paid. Names he whispered carried weight. He revealed one neighborhood in particular, a network of favors that traced through construction permits, police protection, and even charitable donations. And he named one survivor, the partner who had run, the one who held the remaining pieces of the ledger. The confession was explosive, and yet incomplete, a single shot of a larger, more dangerous truth. At the border town bus station, dawn broke over cracked pavement and flickering neon. A lone figure moved quietly, indistinguishable in the early light. Character C was there, blurred in motion, boarding a bus that would carry him toward anonymity. The chase unfolded recklessly. Taxis screeched, alleyways darkened, a shadow flitted across the periphery of security cameras. But he was always one step ahead. Character C did not want capture. The ledger, in pieces, was scattered to anyone who would pay, each fragment dangerous, each piece a key to a city's fragile equilibrium. By morning, the trail would be cold, and the city would awaken to an invisible reckoning. The ledger, incomplete, rested on a journalist's desk. Coffee rings smudged ink, corners were bent with handling, but it remained a testament to the network it recorded. Names had vanished from headlines, slipping into background shadows. Some people had paid for their silence, others disappeared entirely. The city breathed a little easier, safer in appearance, yet the ledger, even in its fragmented state, revealed a truth the public couldn't ignore. Power leaves traces, influence is currency, and corruption never truly sleeps. Quietly, inexorably, the ledger's fragments became part of the city's memory, a record of favors, debts, and secrets that would outlast any single individual.